Good morning. Coffee topic this morning. I pulled up an article here. That was interesting. There is a California Assembly member that introduced a workplace safety bill authorizing refusals to work and requiring wages to be paid. And here's just how it reads. And I want to get your take on this. And I'll put a link to the California Bill 1371. It would revise and expand employee protection and establish continuing wage payment obligations if an employer fails to abate a work hazard, including heat illness, to an employee's satisfaction. All right. It would specifically provide a right of action for the recovery of unpaid wages for the employer's failure to pay full wages. As described, the bill provides for payment of full wages if the employee complies with the bill's enumerated conditions and the employer doesn't assign a different task to the employee that would not expose the employee to the health and safety risks complained of. Under the legislation, an employee would be authorized to refuse to perform work if three conditions are met. 1, the employee believes in good faith that the work creates a real and apparent hazard to the employee or their fellow employees, or has a reasonable apprehension that the performance of the work would result in injury or illness to the employee or other employees. Number 2, that was number 1. Number 2, the employee or another employee has communicated or attempted to notify the employer of the health and safety risk. Attempted to notify. You sent a text? I don't know. The employer has not provided, this is the third one, the employer has not provided a response that is reasonably calculated to allay the safety and health concerns regarding the specific work. It specifically provides, this bill provides the right of action for the recovery of unpaid wages for the employer's failure to pay full wages as described. The bill does not specify, however, whether the right of action is limited to a claim before the labor commissioner or in court. California employers could be exposed to risks of derivative claims that arise from non-payment of wages. All right, just more examples. Employees' right to refuse work. I mean, it's already found in federal standards. Also, various state standards. In California is no different. They already have something. This would add to that. Here's the question I have, and you know how I am. Anytime you have ambiguity in the language, and so when you say to the employee's liking or satisfaction, well, let's say the employee says it's hot at work, and then the employer puts in fans, and then they have temperature readings and go, okay, it's 6-7 degrees cooler, it's below the standard, and the employee goes, I don't like it. You need to install air conditioning. And the employer says, that's not feasible. It's a huge building. It's an old building. There's no way we could afford to put that in. But we've added these fans and we have temperature. And the employee says, sorry, not to my satisfaction. I mean, I want to see more details in the bill and actually read it to see what if satisfaction, that term, is defined, right? Because it's basically what you're doing is you're shifting all of the responsibility onto the employer, and the employee has none. And under the federal standard, under, the OSH Act, there are dependent rights and responsibilities. Remember, the employer is responsible for, we'll just say, providing a workplace free of recognized hazards. How do they do that? they hire employees. The employees then are directed to work in a particular manner. And sometimes that includes conducting inspections, um, you know, cleaning up, housekeeping. Can you imagine getting to a situation where the employee says, these are all trip hazards, all this stuff. And the employer goes, yeah, you unloaded that truck and left the crap all over the floor. Pick it up. And the employee says, I don't want to go in there. I know I'm being ridiculous, but this is how some of these bills read. They don't have the specific language that you would expect in a bill or a law that balances rights and responsibilities and that are already spelled out. The employer has the right to establish workplace safety and health policies, procedures, rules, work instructions, and set those expectations. They have the right to expect employees to follow these rules and or have some sort of course of action against that employee. Then you get into the labor law. I'm sticking with safety. This whole rights and responsibilities, they're dependent rights and responsibilities. The employer is responsible, yes, but they also have rights under the Act. The employee has rights under the Act, but they're also responsible for following company policies and procedures and following safety rules and regulations. In that relationship, it feels like, and again, this is just my gut reaction, and it's somewhat just my commentary. Yeah, I get it. But I want to start a conversation. Some of these bills further divide employee and employer. And I think that the opposite should be taking place. I think that any bill or whatever should be balanced, it should be specific, and it should seek to combine, to bring together these two groups to work together. Companies cannot exist without the employees. The employees have no job were it not for the capital the company puts up, right? We need each other. It is a balance that we have to strike. And I think some of these things, the way they read, it's just a wedge. And that is not good for, I don't think it's good for the employees, and I don't think it's good for the employers. And if you're with an employer that will not correct safety hazards, then yeah, you have recourse. You should have recourse. I'm just looking at the way some of these are written, and it's just they're poorly written. And I know that's probably a testament to, the way things go with school system and education, and of course these individuals that get elected and put into power, and then they produce bills that read like, an eighth grader wrote them. So I would have to talk to Philip Russell about some of these things. It's interesting because I love the way he thinks and how he breaks down some of these laws. I don't hate this bill. I just don't like the way it's worded. And again, there's nothing, at least in this article, and I'm going to get the link to the actual bill because I got to be fair. I want to read the whole thing. There's probably a lot more to it. And I want to make sure that there is a balance. There's a balance that, we have to have some parameters around not to the employee's satisfaction. That's got to be defined somehow. Otherwise, the way it's read, the way I read that, if that's all it says, I could basically not like what you did, even though it achieved the end result, even though it allayed the hazard. Technically, I didn't like your choice of option. I think you should have eliminated it. And the employers decided, no, we're going to manage it and with engineering controls, and it's in control. It's done. It's got no. That's not you. You need to get rid of it. And then you get into this argument over strategy, over practical application, and not the end result, which is we've managed this hazard, we've marshaled resources to mitigate that hazard, and we're going to argue about, you could have done this. Yeah, but we didn't. We did this. and it does the same thing. And I mean, it's different than saying we're going to make you wear tank tops. It's hot in there, so we're going to make you wear tank tops and shorts. Like, there, deal with it. I mean, I'm talking about an actual attempt to mitigate a hazard and actually show evidence, testing data, risk assessments that the hazard has been mitigated to an acceptable level or eliminated altogether. And if the employee doesn't like it, then it sounds like they can still log a protest. So it's interesting. I'll read more about it. What do you think? Do you think some of these bills do nothing but drive that wedge, or do you think we should be promoting partnership, working together, especially what we call bad employers, having them more engage employees more, especially through workplace safety and health committees, things like that. I'll post a link to this article as well in the comments section. Let me know what you think. I look forward to reading your replies.